A 5-year-old girl approaches trembling a man in a suit sitting on a bench in Madrid. Her blonde curls frame a face bathed in tears, but in her eyes shines a determination and desperation that would break anyone's heart. "Sir," she whispers with a broken voice, "can you pretend to be my daddy just for one day?" The man looks up from his financial newspaper. It's Alejandro Herrera, CEO of a multinational company worth 2 billion euros. The most powerful man in the Spanish tech sector. He has never had children, never wanted family responsibilities. His life is made of meetings, profits, and successes. But when his eyes meet those of this little stranger, something inside him breaks and mends at the same time. "Why?" he manages to ask with a broken voice despite years of million-dollar negotiations. "Because tomorrow my mommy dies," Sophia responds with the brutal honesty that only children possess. "And she wants to see my daddy one last time, but my real daddy doesn't exist." What will happen in the next 24 hours will not only change the life of a desperate little girl, it will forever transform the soul of a man who thought he had forgotten what it means to truly love. Alejandro Herrera had never felt silence so deafening. Sitting on the bench in Retiro Park, with the newspaper still open to the stock quotes, he stares at this girl who watches him as if he were her last hope in the world. Sofia Martinez is 5 years old, wearing a white dress a bit too big and shoes that have seen better days. But what strikes Alejandro isn't the modest clothing. It's her eyes. Eyes with a wisdom that shouldn't belong to any child that age. "My mommy has cancer," Sofia continues with a calm voice, as if talking about the weather. "The doctors say she doesn't have much time left. She always talks about how much it hurts her that I've never had a daddy." Alejandro feels something cold grippy, along his stomach. In the last 15 years he has built an empire. He has moved millions with a phone call. He has changed the course of entire companies, but nothing has prepared him for this moment. "Sophia," he says with a voice gentler than he's ever used in his life. "You can't ask a stranger." "You're not a stranger," Sophia interrupts him. "You always read the newspaper here, every Tuesday at 3 in the afternoon. Mommy and I pass by here when we go to the hospital. Mommy always says, 'Look at that elegant man. He looks like a perfect daddy.'" Alejandro feels his heart stop. This girl has been watching him for weeks, has studied his habits, has built in her mind a father figure she's never had. "Sophia, I don't even know how to be a daddy." "I don't know how to be a daughter either," she responds with a smile that lights up her face despite the tears. "But we can learn together, can't we? Just for one day." Alejandro looks into the eyes of this little warrior and sees something he had forgotten years ago. The purity of unconditional love. A love that asks nothing in return, only the presence of someone to care for her. Where do I need to go?" he asks. And as he speaks these words, he knows his life will never be the same. Ramon y Cajal Hospital at sunset has a surreal atmosphere. Alejandro walks through the hallways that smell of disinfectant, holding Sofia's small, warm hand, feeling more nervous than when he signed his first 100 million contract. "She's very strong," Sofia says as they go up in the elevator to the oncology floor. "Mommy always cries when she thinks I'm not watching, but I know. Adults think children don't understand, but we understand everything." Alejandro looks at her and feels an emotion he doesn't recognize. This 5-year-old girl has more courage than many businessmen he's known in his life. "Sophia, if your mommy asks me questions—" "I already told her everything," she interrupts with a mischievous smile. "That your name is Alejandro, that you work with computers, that we met in the park. I didn't tell her you're rich because mommy would worry." Alejandro stops suddenly. "How do you know I work with computers?" "Because you always read the part of the newspaper where the technology company numbers are. And because when you talk on the phone you always say words I don't understand, but that sound important." This girl has studied him better than any private investigator. She has observed every detail. She has built a perfect profile without ever being noticed. They arrive in front of room 204. Sophia stops and for the first time seems really like a scared and fragile 5-year-old. "Mr. Alejandro," she whispers, "Mommy is very thin now, but she's still the most beautiful in the world." "Okay." Alejandro kneels to her height and for the first time in years looks someone in the eyes without thinking about profits or strategies. "Sophia, I'm sure your mommy is beautiful and I feel honored to be able to meet her." Sophia takes his face in her little hands. "Thank you for being my daddy, even if it's just pretend. It's the most beautiful gift I've ever been given." As they open the door to the room, Alejandro understands that what he thought was a white lie is becoming the truest truth of his life. Carmen Martinez is sitting on the hospital bed, her hair covered by a colorful scarf, her face gaunt from illness, but illuminated by a smile that fills the entire room when she sees Sophia enter holding Alejandro's hand. "Mommy," Sophia says with an excited voice, "this is Alejandro, my daddy." Alejandro feels the world stop. Carmen looks at him with eyes full of tears and gratitude. And in that moment, he understands that this woman knows perfectly well what's happening. She knows he's a stranger. She knows Sophia has planned everything, but she only cares that her daughter is happy. "Alejandro," Carmen says with a weak but warm voice, "finally, I meet you. Sophia always talks about you." Alejandro approaches the bed with his heart beating wildly. "Carmen, he begins, but she signals him to come closer. "Thank you," she whispers in his ear so Sophia can't hear. "I don't know who you really are, but thank you for giving my daughter what I could never give her." Alejandro feels his eyes fill with tears. It's she who is giving something to me. During the next 3 hours, Alejandro experiences something he had never experienced, being part of a family. Sophia tells him about school, friends, the drawings she makes for mommy. Carmen shares stories about her daughter, her dreams, her fears. "Sophia wants to be a doctor when she grows up," Carmen says, stroking the girl's hair. "She says she wants to save all the mommies in the world and all the daddies too," Sophia adds, "so no child will be sad like I was before." Alejandro looks at this broken but love-filled family and feels an emotion that moves him, belonging. For the first time in 42 years, he feels he is exactly where he should be. "Alejandro," Carmen says while Sophia is distracted with a drawing, "I don't know what you've done today, but you've made my daughter happy, and when she's alone, I hope she remembers this day and knows that love truly exists." Alejandro takes Carmen's fragile hand. "Carmen, can I come back tomorrow?" She smiles through tears. "Sophia already asked you to take her to school on Monday. I think you've gotten trapped in our family, Mr. CEO. Alejandro is startled. "How?" "Alejandro Herrera Tech. Your photo was in the newspaper last week, but that doesn't change anything. Today you're not a CEO, you're just Sophia's daddy." That night, Alejandro doesn't return to his penthouse in Salamanca. At Sophia's request, he stays to sleep in the chair in the hospital room. Carmen rests, helped by medications, while Sophia falls asleep curled up next to mommy with a little hand that comes out of the bed seeking Alejandro's. At 3 in the morning, Carmen wakes up. She sees Alejandro sitting in the chair, watching over them like a silent guardian. "Can't you sleep?" she asks with a weak voice. "I was thinking," Alejandro responds. "Carmen, how do you do it? How do you manage to be so strong knowing that you're going to die?" Carmen smiles sadly. "Because I have Sophia. Every day I've spent with her has been a gift. And today, you gave me the greatest gift, seeing my daughter happy." Alejandro approaches the bed. "Carmen, there's something you need to know. I never wanted a family. I always thought children were complications. But today, Sofia taught me something I didn't even know existed. What? Unconditional love. She looked at me and decided I was her father, without conditions, without expectations, just pure love. Carmen takes his hand. Alejandro, I don't know what will happen after I'm gone, but if you could be in Sofia's life, even as a friend, as an uncle. Carmen, Alejandro interrupts with a firm voice. I want to adopt Sofia. A heavy silence falls in the room. Carmen looks at him incredulously. Alejandro, you don't know me. You don't know anything about me, about my life. I know you raised an extraordinary girl all by yourself. I know you filled her with love despite everything. I know you deserve for someone to care for the person you love most in the world. Carmen begins to cry silently. Alejandro, Sofia isn't easy. She's stubborn, intelligent, asks 1,000 questions. She's perfect, Alejandro says. And as he speaks these words, he realizes he truly means them. Carmen, let me give her everything you would have wanted to give her. Let me be the father she deserves. Carmen looks at sleeping Sofia, then looks at Alejandro. In this unknown man, she sees something that reassures her, genuine love for her daughter. There's one condition, she whispers. Anything. Promise me you'll always talk to her about me. Promise me she'll know her mother loved her more than life itself. Alejandro takes both of Carmen's hands. I promise, and I promise that Sofia will grow up knowing she is loved by two people who would have done anything for her. Carmen Martinez dies 3 days later on a Tuesday morning while Sofia is at school and Alejandro is by her side. Her last words are, "Tell her mommy is waiting for her among the stars." The funeral is small but full of love. Sofia, in a black dress too big that Alejandro bought her, holds tight a drawing she made, her, mommy, and Alejandro, together under a rainbow. Mommy became an angel, Sofia tells Alejandro after the ceremony. But you stay with me, right, Daddy? Alejandro kneels and takes her in his arms. Forever, little star. Forever. 6 months later, Alejandro's apartment in Salamanca is unrecognizable. The marble floors are covered with toys. The walls are plastered with colorful drawings. In the kitchen, there's always the smell of cookies that Sofia has learned to make, following the recipes Carmen had written for her. Daddy, Sofia says one night while they're doing homework together. Do you think Mommy is happy with us? Alejandro looks at his daughter, because now Sofia is truly his daughter in every sense, and sees Carmen in every smile, in every tender gesture, in every moment of pure joy. I'm sure Mommy is very proud of you, and I'm sure she's happy that I have the most extraordinary girl in the world. And I'm happy that you're the best daddy in the world, Evie. And though you learned just recently, Alejandro laughs. You know what the secret is, Sofia. You don't have to be perfect to be a good daddy. You just have to love a lot. And you love me a lot. I love you more than the stars in the sky. Sofia falls asleep that night in Alejandro's arms, and he stays awake watching her breathe, thinking about how the desperate plea of a 5-year-old girl transformed a cold and calculating CEO into the richest man in the world, rich in love. 5 years later, Sofia Herrera, now 10 years old, runs excitedly through the hallways of Herrera Tech, her curls flying behind her as she goes to find Daddy in his office. Daddy, Daddy, I got a 10 in science! Alejandro looks up from documents and his face lights up when he sees his daughter. The employees smile. Everyone knows that Spain's most feared CEO melts like ice cream in the sun when Sofia arrives. Tell me everything, Professor, Alejandro says, taking her in his arms. I did research on stars, and do you know what I discovered? That when a star dies, its light keeps traveling through the universe forever. Like Mommy. Alejandro feels his eyes moisten. Sofia talks about Carmen often, and each time she does it with joy, not sadness. She has transformed pain into beauty, just as her mother had taught her. "And I have a surprise for you," Sofia continues. "Look." She takes a drawing from her backpack. It's the Herrera family, Alejandro, Sofia, and in the sky, among the clouds, a beautiful woman with flowing hair who watches them smiling. "It's Mommy protecting us," Sofia explains. "The teacher says that when we love someone who's no longer here, the love never goes away. It stays here." She touches her heart. Alejandro hugs his daughter and thinks about the day a desperate little girl asked him to pretend to be her father. He didn't know that plea would turn him into a real father, into a complete man, into a better person. "Sofia," he says, "do you want to know a secret?" "Yes. The day I met you, you saved me. I was a sad man who didn't know what love was. You taught me. And you taught me that daddies aren't just the ones who make you be born. Real daddies are the ones who choose to love you every day." That night, like every night for the past 5 years, Alejandro and Sofia light a candle for Carmen. But now it's no longer a moment of sadness. It's a moment of gratitude. "Thank you, Mommy," Sofia says, looking at Carmen's photo on the nightstand, "for giving me the best daddy in the world." Alejandro looks at Carmen's photo and whispers, "Thank you, Carmen, for giving me the most extraordinary daughter in the universe, for teaching me that true love doesn't need blood, only heart." The story of Alejandro and Sofia shows that family isn't just what you're born into. Sometimes family is what you choose, what you build one hug at a time, one day at a time, one love at a time, and that the purest love is often born in the most desperate moments, when a brave heart has the courage to ask, "Do you want to be my family?" The answer, when guided by love, is always the same: yes, forever. If this story has touched your heart and made you believe in the transforming power of love, leave a like. If you believe that family is what we choose with our heart, subscribe to the channel. For more stories that celebrate love that overcomes every barrier, comment below what gesture of love has changed your life. Share your story. Share this video with whoever needs to believe that love can be born in the most unexpected moments. And if you want more Spanish stories that show how love can transform entire lives, turn on notifications. Remember, you don't need to share the same blood to be a family. It's enough to share the same love. True love doesn't look at differences, it only looks at the heart that beats. See you in the next story that will make you believe in the infinite magic of family love.